Welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. President Bola Tinubu is imploring Muslims and Nigerians generally to imbibe the important virtues of patience, perseverance, and faithfulness, which were at the roots of the decision by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to migrate from Mecca to Medina 1,445 years ago. The President, in his personal statement of felicitations to Muslims in Nigeria and around the world, as they witness the end of another Hijra lunar calendar, praised the incoming year 1445 ushers in a more peaceful and prosperous period. President Tinubu says, as Nigerians persevere and struggle to confront the present challenges and the temporary pain they experience, he enjoins them to remain hopeful that there is light and prosperity at the end of the tunnel. He says his team is leaving no stone unturned in the bid to deliver on the promises he made in spite of the present difficulties. As the Muslims usher in the new Islamic year, he urges them all to engage in prayers and supplications to God Almighty to direct and protect Nigeria's path to greatness and prosperity. Meanwhile, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has congratulated the Muslim Ummah on the occasion of the new Islamic year 1445 AH. In a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Musa Krishi, Speaker Abbas said the new Islamic year holds a lot of promises for mankind, urging Muslims to use the new year to rededicate themselves to the worship of the Almighty Allah and pray for continuous peace and unity in the country. The Speaker wishes the entire Muslim Ummah and indeed Nigerians a fruitful Islamic year 1445 AH. We are now joined in the studio by an Islamic preacher, Abu Jabir Abdullah Pendable. Thank you for joining us on Nationwide.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. It's the start of another new Islamic calendar. How significant is this in Islam?
Well, the significance of this new calendar, the Islamic calendar, cannot be overemphasized because it's a commemoration of the migration that took place by the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to the city of Medina. So it's of great significance because it was the precursor to the establishment of the first Islamic state. So they migrated from Mecca, which was then the land of polytheism, after they were subjected to a lot of persecution, torture, excommunication, and so many antagonism. So the Prophet migrated, he was patient, and then he migrated, and they took the solution, the path of migration, as the solution to the problem they were faced with of persecution. And then they went to Medina, which was now the basis for the formation of the first Islamic state. So to the Muslims, it's an important era. However, the adaptation of the adoption of the calendar itself was about 16 to 17 or about 18 years after the Hijra actually took place. And that was during the Caliphate of Umar bin Khattab, when the Muslims were now called upon to decide which date to adopt, which official event to adopt to begin the counting of the years of the Islamic world. And then amazingly also, the importance of it is that the basis for it was because of the settling of debts. Okay. So someone came yani complaining that his debt is due in the month of Sha'ban, one of the months. And then Umar asked him which of the Sha'ban, that of last year or this year or the next year, and then they didn't know which calendar to adopt. Okay. And then a conversation ensued, and Ali radiallahu anhu now suggested that they adopt the migration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be the official calendar of the Islamic world.
All right, thank you for enlightening us. Now, despite this, there's no noticeable event to show the commemoration. How would you explain that?
Well, because it was not recorded and it has not been established that it was the practice of the early Muslims that they specifically celebrate this year. As I stated earlier, this began, the adoption was 17 to about 18 years after the actual event took place. That was when it was adopted. So it was something that was adopted out of necessity, that, oh, people take they are indebted to others and they need to pay back their money and all this. So we need to we need to have a reference point, and then it was adopted as a. So if you look at the reason for its adoption, you will understand that their attitude towards it was not that of, oh, let's celebrate and yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, what are your words to guide the faithful on how to conduct themselves on a day like this?
Well, importantly, the event itself that marked this day today, the Hijra, a migration from polytheism, which is the greatest act of disobedience to God, to a land where God is worshipped alone. I think today we can borrow from that we need to migrate from all sinful acts to righteous deeds. We need to migrate from the things that are not liked, all evil deeds, to righteous deeds. So the biggest lesson for Muslims and the entire world to learn from this is, if the Prophet could be patient, if the Prophet could bear the pains and all the antagonism towards him, and then at the end of the day migrated to a place where he will find comfort and then do what he has been created to do. I think for the Muslims and for the entire world, it's for us to migrate, abandon the things that we do that we know that are evil deeds, to those things that are progressive in nature, things that will be beneficial to us as individuals and the societies that we live in. That is the greatest lesson for us, to migrate from evil to good.
To good. Thank you for that advice. In fact, that caps it off. I've been talking with an Islamic scholar, Abu Jabir Abdullah Pendable, an Islamic preacher. Thank you for coming on Nationwide.
It's my pleasure.
Let's move on. The Senate has constituted an ad hoc committee to compile lists of federal roads and gully erosion sites across the country for immediate government intervention. This is a sequel to a motion raised by the Deputy President of the Senate, Barau Jibrin, on behalf of the entire Senate. The lawmakers said the poor state of some roads has affected economic growth and is responsible for loss of lives and accidents. Senate expressed concern that since the return of democracy in 1999, trillions of naira have been expended on roads construction and rehabilitation with little achieved.
Who have signed feel strongly that something needs to be done about the road infrastructure in Nigeria. The Senate has commended and hereby commends the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari for finding alternative means of funding road infrastructure, and urges the current administration to continue in that regard.
Meanwhile, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has again commended the courage of President Bola Tinubu in removing the subsidy of petroleum products, saying it was in the economic interest of Nigeria. He stated this while hosting a delegation of National Assembly lawmakers from Ekiti State, led by Governor Abiodun Uibanji. Akpabio says the policy has some implications, but in the long run, it will serve the interests of the citizenry.
We are very proud of the President. And in less than 2 months in office so far, He has demonstrated capacity. He has shown that a politician has come to governance. And one of the most difficult things Nigeria had was the continuous fuel subsidy, which we knew all along that we're subsidizing for the consumption of all West Africans. But nobody could say it out. We used to talk with hushed tones. We knew that the quantity of fuel, PMS, this was said to be consumed by Nigerians, were fake. They were not real, but nobody could take action. We knew that fuel subsidy was killing the economy.
Together, sir, we will ensure that we save to sail along with Mr. President.
The visit was to appreciate the Senate for appointing Okpeyemi Bamidele as the Senate leader. The state delegation expressed resolve to work closely with the National Assembly for their mutual benefit. The federal government has explained that the 8,000 naira cash program is not the only measure in the relief package to reduce the impact of the fuel subsidy removal. Ruth Agwele reports.
A statement from the Presidential Advisor on Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, Dele Alake, says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a listening leader who has vowed to always put Nigerians at the heart of his policy and programs, the President has directed that the 8,000 naira conditional cash transfer program for vulnerable households be reviewed immediately in deference to the views expressed by Nigerians against it. The President also directed that the whole gamut of palliative package of government be unveiled to Nigerians, and also directed the immediate release of fertilizers and grains to approximately 50 million farmers and households in all the 36 states and the FCD. The President further assures Nigerians that the 500 billion naira approved by Parliament to cushion the pain occasioned by the end of subsidy regime will be judiciously utilized, with the beneficiaries being Nigerians irrespective of their ethnic, religious or political affiliation. The statement restated President Bola Tinubu's irrevocably committed promise to always prioritize the well-being of Nigerians, and that a number of decisions taken so far by this administration have buttressed this stance. It cited a similar decision taken by the President after listening to complaints from the business community and stakeholders about burdensome taxes, particularly multiplicity of taxes they are made to experience, which warranted a signing of 4 executive orders cancelling some classes of taxes while suspending the implementation dates of others. The President also set up a tax reform fiscal policy committee to bring up recommendations that will engender a wholesome fiscal environment for the country and remove anti-business barriers. The statement assures Nigerians that President Tinubu will continue to be a listening leader whose ears will not be dull to the views expressed by the citizenry, as he believes government exists to cater for the interests of the people.
In the wake of the recent increase in fuel price, this prompted President Bola Tinubu to issue directives that the 8,000 naira conditional cash transfer program envisaged to bring succor to the most vulnerable households be reviewed immediately. A human rights activist and public affairs analyst, Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, who was a guest on NTA Good Morning Nigeria, urged the federal government to make the process transparent and ensure that proper evaluation of database is used to ensure that the palliatives reach the less privileged.
You know, in the past they were giving money on the table. We want a situation where bank accounts, so that those people that have been identified can equally be verified that such monies were actually given to. And you look at in a population of about 200 million, we want even spread. Part of the challenges and part of the condemnation, some already have been making accusation that a certain region of the country is taking the chunk of it and the other part are not getting anything. It will bring about confusion, it will bring about suspicion. We want a process that is transparent, a process that everybody wants to give palliative. On your way, people are disturbing you, and any action whatsoever from the government that tends towards that drive is encouraged, but it should be done properly. It should be sustainable. The incentive and measures should be put in place.
for effective mechanism to be put in place to address high cost of living for Nigerians aside provision of palliatives. Flooding, a global phenomenon, is one natural disaster that has caused severe damage to property, infrastructure, and lives in this part of the world. Flood has created a lot of damaging effects in Nigeria, resulting to the death of people, collapse of buildings, destruction of property, damage of agricultural produce, loss of land, and increased government expenditure. With a prediction by NIMET on increased heavy rainfall experienced during the wet season, Kaduna State is one of those suffering from many cases of flooding. We now join Suleiman Abdullahi Gachukun at Kigo Road for a live update on the flood prediction there in Kaduna. Hello, Suleiman. Now tell us, if you can hear me, which areas are flood prone in Kaduna?
Well, actually, right now I am standing by the popular river Kaduna. This river is connecting to river Niger, and it has a link with a lot of dendritics and many major rivers across northern Nigeria. In the river banks, the popular Kigo Road that you have mentioned in the introduction of this story, and also the Barnawa area by my left.
We seem to be having technical challenges there. We hope to rejoin him if we get better signals. Now let's go on. A call to action for individuals, communities, and organizations to take time to reflect on Mandela's values and principles and to make a positive impact in their own communities has been made during the celebration of Nelson Mandela Day. Becky Greatman-Chukwuka reports that Professor Wole Soyinka was among guests that honored the great icon at the Nelson Mandela Gardens, Asaba, Delta State.
It's another time of the year to celebrate the first black president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. The celebration is hinged on his commitment to peace, negotiation and reconciliation, and a life dedicated to fighting for equality. Here in Delta State, the Nelson Mandela Garden, named after the icon, played host to dignitaries in the likes of the Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka.
There are any people in the world that should understand the value and the intrinsic attribute of freedom, it's us on the African continent. And so for me, there is no question at all. When I speak about the fight between power and freedom, I'm simply on the side of freedom. So was Nelson Mandela.
It was the turn of the desert warrior, Dr. Newton Jibono, to eulogize a man who fought for the freedom of his people.
I would want to say to every one of you, please think about Nelson Mandela. Think about the sacrifices he made. Mandela started his struggle as a student. He was a university undergraduate.
The usual planting of trees as means of protecting the planet, recitation of poems and dance by students and artists made the day colorful. The day calls for strong men and women to stand up against injustice. In Asaba, Becky Greatman-Chukwuka, NTA News.
It's still nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Let's join Hingino John Adams in Lagos with more stories from that zone. Hello, Hingino.
Thank you, Lydia. In sustaining its professional responsibility of upscaling the audience's right to quality content, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, is keen on exposing indigenous broadcasters to world-class innovation. As a follow-up to the last conference, the regulatory agency says the next edition of its knowledge-sharing platform known as Africast will hold in Lagos, with content acquisition, sharing and financing taking center stage. Michael Olale reports.
Despite attracting huge investment with prospects showing glimpses of hope for growth, the belief of stakeholders is that there is room for improvement for the broadcasting and content industry in Nigeria. Africast, an African-wide conference for exchange of ideas, content and technology in the sector, is fulfilling the mandate of stimulating global opportunities for content providers, and as a follow-up to its 3 decades of giving networking and exhibition platforms to broadcasters, the National Broadcasting Commission says the 13th edition, with the theme Broadcast Content Synergy, Finance and Marketing, will hold in Lagos with more than 10,000 professionals expected to attend the 3-day event.
This edition of the tradition will feature an era of intellectual paper presentations, illuminating discussions and expert round tables, as well as an integrated world-class expo exhibiting the best in broadcast technology.
Just like previous editions, the NBC explained that the conference will present another opportunity for correcting the imbalance in world information sharing mechanisms, leveraging on collaboration among key players using the Content Village arena.
The Content Village is an opportunity to bring together content producers, content commissioners, people that are buying and selling content.
NBC should collaborate more so that this can be the center for all African countries to come and participate effectively well.
Beyond the conference, the NBC says it has finalized arrangements to commence consultation with relevant stakeholders towards the upward review of the current broadcast license fees, which has been operational since 1992. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Talking environment now. Proactive flood control plan is required for states to effectively mitigate flooding. In addition to this, understanding the peculiarity of flooding, experience and needed precautionary measures are crucial factors relevant agencies must consider. Environmentalists are emphasizing this as they frown at the seeming tradition of states giving environmental issues that could become disaster a loose grip until it becomes too huge to handle. Larry Bilay has details.
There are 3 types of flooding in Nigeria: the fluvial flooding, which occurs when rivers overflow their banks; coastal flooding, when water from marine environment submerges low-lying adjoining lands; and pluvial flooding, which happens with intense rainfall. There is also rapid urbanization as a result of constant rural-urban migration, poor urban planning, and drainage systems, including solid waste management. Despite these challenges, proactive plans to prevent flooding appears to be missing in some states, as they seemingly wait for flooding to wreak havoc before needed interventions.
No drainage infrastructure anywhere in the world can be designed or constructed for 100% rainfall event. So what we do in Lagos, where we understand this, is for the immediate term, keep the conveyor systems moving, the drain, clear them. When there's rainfall, it will be flashed, not stagnant. 1 hour, 2 hours, the water will go.
Environmental experts believe addressing the problem of flooding requires active participation of all.
If people must move to higher ground, who will allocate those lands? It is government. If the disasters become so great that it needs the ecological funds, who will do that? It is the government. Now, if people build on floodplains, who will remove them? We cannot take the laws into our hands. It is the government.
Residents have also been advised to hone measures put in place by authorities to mitigate flooding in their area, as this will sustain the projects, check devastation caused by flash floods, and reduce funding involved. In Lagos, Larry Bilay, NTA News.
We are done with our beat from Lagos at this time. be reminded that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time now for some messages. The news will be back with Lydia in Abuja shortly.
Stay with us. The House of Representatives has rejected a motion to suspend the latest increase in the pump price of petrol from 540 naira to 617 naira by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited. Debating the recent hike in cost of petrol under a motion of urgent public importance, the House, however, resolves to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate frequent hike in pump price of petrol and report back to the House for further legislative action.
We're expecting a hike in price of food in the coming days because the price of fuel affects the price of everything in the market. Mr. Speaker, this is the People's House and we represent the interests of Nigerians. And if this is allowed to continue, the fear is that fuel price will be sold at 1,000 naira per litre by the end of the year. So my prayer is that the House do set up an ad hoc committee to look into the circumstances surrounding the increment in the price of fuel by the NNPCL.
For the House to suspend the increase in the fuel by NNPC pending their appearance to this hallowed committee that we are about to set, that the price be reverted, let it be what it is a few days to status before they could appear before the committee. I so amend, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, let me put it to question. Those in support that will stop the price increase subject to investigation, say aye. Those against, say nay. The nays have it. We should not preempt the committee. Maybe it's an investigative ad hoc committee. It will not be good for us to preempt them. Let's allow them do their job, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to work with their resolution. But all we will ask the committee when set up is that they should do their job with the speed of the light. And with the speed of light.
National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikpen reports that the House also adopted a motion urging the President to lift the embargo on employment in ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has commenced a post-election review of the 2023 general election. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says the review is aimed at improving the conduct of future elections and consolidation of democracy in Nigeria. Timothy Yusuf will tell us all about it.
The post-election review of the 2023 general election by INEC is commencing, with meeting all the electoral officers and transport unions that participated in the exercise. They are considered critical stakeholders in the electoral process.
Today we are here to attend to the question of how far and how well we performed in our respective duties during the election.
They are undertaking a holistic review of the 2023 general election with a view to addressing lessons learned in the conduct of 2023 polls and recommendations for future elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu believes that the 2023 general election was a success owing to some innovations in technology, and for the first time, national elections were not postponed.
We can conduct a review of the elections without involving those who made the election tick. And through your hard work and the support of the Commission, for the first time in the last 4 electoral cycles, presidential and National Assembly elections were not postponed even for 1 hour.
Next in line for post-election review will be debriefing of collation and returning officers. The Commission is also set to interface with political party leaders, media executives and civil society organizations in the coming days. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress, described as mischievous and intentionally misleading tweets by one Mr. Jackson Ude, who alleged that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had a telephone conversation with the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola. National Publicity Secretary of APC Felix Moka, in a statement, said Mr. Ude fabricated a falsehood on a matter of serious national importance that is actively under the review of the Presidential Election Petitions Court. The statement adds that President Tinubu and the APC won the February 25th, 2023 presidential election without a doubt and do not have any need to engage in side conversations with the CJN regarding pending petitions before the PEPC. APC expressed confidence that Nigerians are smarter and more discerning than to be affected by this opposition brand of tasteless and crass mercenary expedition. Director General of the Confederation of APC Support Groups, Keilani Mohammed, has appealed to party members to give the new leadership of APC under Senator Abubakar Kyari necessary support. At a media briefing in Abuja, the group leadership reacted to the policies of the government as implemented so far. Salihu Gwanara was there.
Confederation of All Progressives Congress support groups coordinated a significant number of party loyalists before and during the last general elections. Recent post-election political events affecting governance and party leadership informed this briefing.
And we do not want or envisage some foreign imperialists to foment grounds that will lead us to war. As far as we are concerned, the only interest of external forces in Nigeria is our natural resources, which they intend to cut to their countries in the event our center can no longer hold. Then we are calling on all APC members to rally around Abubakar Kyari as an acting chairman to give him the support pending the time we have a substantive chairman to be elected. We'll make sure we bring the right person on board.
The group leadership pledged to champion effective followership as agents of progressive democracy. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, says it will appeal the judgment passed by the Court of Appeal sitting in Asaba, Delta State, restricting the Corps operations to only federal roads. FRSC Corps Marshal Daud Abiu stated that the Corps will seek stay of execution and appeal the decision of the court. He said the Corps is aware of the judgment of the Court of Appeal, Asaba Judicial Division, from the briefing received from the Corps legal representatives, but at the moment, FRSC is yet to obtain a certified true copy of the judgment. He revealed that the implication of the said judgment, as reported in the media, is that personnel will not be able to attend or rescue crash victims on roads other than federal roads. The Acting Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, has approved the immediate dissolution of the Comptroller General Strike Force teams. Consequently, he has given a marching order to the federal operation units to take over their responsibilities nationwide. A statement by the Public Relations Officer of the service, Abdullahi Miwada, emphasized that the latest development is part of steps to enhance national security and trade facilitation. On assumption of duty, the Acting Comptroller General has pledged to deal with obstacles to trade facilitation. It's still nationwide. Kemi Akinwande is the newscaster in Ibadan. Over to you, Kemi.
Dear, and welcome to Ibadan. Residents of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, are gradually adjusting to the reality of the increment of pump price of petrol. They, however, appeal for government's intervention to cushion the effect of the price hike. Lukman Hassan went around some filling stations in town to feel the pulse of members of the public on these developments. What is the situation out there, Lukman?
Of Ibadan, where yesterday waking up to news that there has been an increment in the pump price of premium motor spirit known as petrol among the locals, which was increased to 617 naira by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Yesterday it led to panic buying among residents of Ibadan. But this morning, most filling stations resumed back to normal activities where buyers walk in freely and purchase the commodity. Residents of Ibadan are currently reacting to the prices of the commodity. Mr. Abdurrahman Hamidu is here to tell us his experience after buying the fuel at the current price.
The experience is not all that so sweet that one can be talking about it. I feel extremely bad because when I was coming, I thought I would meet it at even 500 naira. I thought when I came, I met it at 580 naira per liter. I bought few ones and I paid them more than 10,000 naira now.
Another buyer of the Prima Motor Spirit, Ojubanire Aminat, have this to say.
Honestly, I'm not happy with what is happening in this country. That's just the word. I'm not happy at all. It's been so frustrating. Moving from the office to school, home and all that. I just want to employ the government to do something. Let's just do something. People are suffering.
Here is Dr. Folaoni. What is your take on the increment on the current pump price?
The increment, as expected, is not hitting Nigerians in the right place. Everybody's growing because prices are going up. We just woke up suddenly yesterday and discovered that there was no fuel anywhere. By the time we are going to home the other day, there was fuel. Just the morning, there was no fuel. So the problem is that the increment will always have its toll on people. The government probably did this to save some of our money that's going to all this subsidy stuff. But I think Nigerians should just be patient with government, and I know things will get better.
The residents are calling on the federal government to work on revitalizing the nation's foreign refineries, allowing private sector to fully participate in the oil sector. They believe this will bring down the prices of the commodity, create more jobs for the people, and work on palliative that will assist both workers and not workers. Kemi, it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Lukman. The Federal Road Safety Commission says its mandate of reducing fatalities and crashes on major highways is achievable. Sector Commander FRSC Ogun State, Ahmed Umar, stated this while monitoring the mobile speed control patrol operation along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Yemi Dalimo reports.
The smooth ride along the ever-busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway may have increased the rate of fatalities, crashes and injuries along that corridor. However, the Federal Road Safety Corps is determined to make the road safer for users. Ogun State Sector Commander of FRSC Ahmed Umar, who led the mobile speed control patrol operation to Ogumaki, Ogere, Shagamu, Mugwebafo through the Opik roundabout of the expressway, explained that the operation will be sustained to save Nigerians from avoidable death.
When we compared the success of our operation last month, June, against May, we have recorded 42% decrease in the road traffic crashes. We have also recorded 4.8% decrease in fatality. We have also recorded 48.5% decrease in injuries because of this mobile speed control patrol.
Motorists plying the road commend the safety initiative.
We thank them for dedication to work, and they are putting passion in the work they're doing.
An errant trailer driver who flouted some safety rules along the expressway was apprehended and had its vehicle towed away. From the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Yemi Dalimo, NTA News.
That's it from Ibadan. More reports on Nationwide with Lydia in Abuja after the break.
Nationwide continues in Abuja. With the 2023 elections and the politicking associated with it now gone, it is time for women to show example in leadership by bonding and working together to serve the people. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this while interacting with female federal lawmakers who paid her a courtesy visit at the villa. While urging the lawmakers not to take the mandate of the people for granted, the First Lady advised them to work together across party lines to address challenges facing their constituencies in order to achieve the renewed hope agenda of the present administration.
But just make sure that you keep being faithful to your constituents. Carry them along as much as you can. You know, keep doing good. That's why you are here. You know, whatever you feel is right for your constituents, that's what you pursue. And that's the independence you really enjoy.
One of the lawmakers, Honorable Kafilat Ogara, representing Kosofe Federal Constituency in Lagos, had applauded the First Lady for being a good example to female legislators and asked for her support.
That we are just a call away. Whatever special projects you have, whatever you need us to do with you to support this government, we are readily available to work with you. Thank you.
For the First Lady, the meeting with the lawmakers drawn from the two chambers of the National Assembly is a warm reminder of her time at the Senate, where she spent 12 impactful years. We now go over to Felicia in Jos, where more reports are waiting. Hello, Felicia.
Lydia, glad to have you join us in Jos. Plateau State government is working on strategies aimed at restoring lasting peace in the state. This was when Governor Caleb Mutfwang received the Plateau State Traditional Council of Chiefs and Emirs at the Government House, Jos. Grace Akwegotip has more.
The traditional rulers were led by their chairman, Bongom Josda Jacob Giangbuba, who says they were at the Government House to congratulate the governor on his victory at the polls and to commiserate with him over the killings in the state, as well as pray for the success of his administration.
I want to appeal to you to open your hearts that God will use you to govern Plateau in accordance with his will, so that by his grace we will all come back to normalcy and begin to witness peace and development in Plateau State.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang, who was full of appreciation to the traditional rulers, says government holds the traditional rulers in high regards as promoters of peace.
For us as a government, we do not have any boundaries across faith or across tribe. For us, everybody that is both indigenous and residing within the boundaries of Plateau is our subject and is our concern. I want to sincerely appreciate the Council of Chiefs and Emirs for the role you have been playing in your various chiefdoms and in the state as a whole in trying to preserve the peace and unity of the state.
In Jos, Grace Akwegotip, NTA News.
And in other news, Governor Caleb Mutfwang says his administration will reform and improve the capacity of the local government system to make it more efficient and people-oriented. He stated this while inaugurating the chairman and members of the Local Government Service Commission. Again, Grace Akwegotip reports.
Inaugurating the chairman of the Local Government Service Commission and two commissioners, Governor Caleb Mutfwang notes that the local government system is in dire need of reforms, as most of the rules and regulations are extant. He urged the newly appointed to reposition the system for the future and improve its efficiency in line with its mandate of strengthening state institutions for the good of the people.
We need to get the local government system working in view of the security challenges that we are facing. And I want to assure the people of Plateau State that we will make sure that the local government system in Plateau is very efficient and that it delivers on good governance for the benefit of our people at the local level.
The newly appointed chairman of the Local Government Service Commission, Simon Tangni, expressed gratitude to the governor for considering them worthy of the appointments, promising not to disappoint the state's government.
We're conscious of where you're going, and we're going to support that. We'll
guarantee you, Your Excellency, that by the special grace of God, you will have no cause to regret.
In Jos, Grace Akwegoti, NTA News.
Those are the stories from here. Lydia is back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Hey, thanks, Felicia. Now let's have a little bit of sports. And that's Nationwide. Thank you for watching. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Good evening.